In this game, you gotta have that dog in you.
Made in America.
Floor seats for the Knicks. Couple models blowing hits. They don't even want to pick. Want to lick up.
Yo, and welcome to another episode of The Convo. It's your man's Owen. And today, my guest, let me tell you about this man. I actually had the pleasure of coaching him at one time in the wonderful sport of football. And then he decided to switch gears and pivot a little bit and actually pursue a career in bodybuilding, which is dope.
Yeah.
Placed second in men's physique?
Yeah.
At 19?
18.
At 18?
Yeah.
That's dope. So one time for my man Lance. Welcome, Lance.
Appreciate it.
How you feeling? How you living?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad that we finally got this to work. This happened like 2 days ago. It was just like the most random thing. I'm like, all right. I mean, I'm down to be on a podcast. Sounds good to me.
Look, man, I just knew I wanted to talk about fitness, and I was like, you know what? Actually, for me, it was a stretch to even ask you because I was like, my man's probably got his thing going. He's probably busy. Let me just
for sure
throw it against the wall. And he was like, yeah, I got it. I was like,
dude, I love talking about it. It's one of the things, like when you're passionate about something, I mean, when you got people asking you like to talk more about it, I'm always down because like otherwise it's like whenever you talk about it, people are like, bro, shut up. Like nobody cares.
No.
Like when people ask, I'm like, sure, I'll talk about it.
There's a niche of people that care.
I'm glad.
And there's also a niche of people that don't know enough about it and should know. I think of you. Like I've known you for years, right?
Yeah.
For a few years now, and you weren't always put together like this.
Nope.
What made you get into this?
It kind of started when I was like probably, I don't even know, man, like 14, 15. And I went to the beach one time and I saw this kid, he's probably my age now. He was just walking around like on the beach. I'm like, dang, like I want to look like that. Like, man, that's crazy. Because like, as you know, I was a skinny little boy. I was a small, petite little thing. And so I'm like, I'll get into some more of that later, but it initially started with like seeing someone. I'm like, man, like I like to look at that. So I talked to my dad because my dad used to work out. And he used to be in great shape when he was younger. And he was like, all right, well, if you're serious about this, I'll get like a couple weights. We can like put it in the basement at the house. And I mean, I'll walk you through some stuff. And so I started with like this little rickety bench set and like a couple like adjustable dumbbells. Mm-hmm. And he got like these two posters of like basic workouts you can do and stuff. And at that point, like he just wanted me to get used to being consistent because I was like, I want to go to like a gym because like there's more equipment. He was like, no, like you need to work on getting consistent first. And sure enough, I was doing that for maybe a month. And I think I probably weighed like 115 pounds, maybe 120 pounds. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward a little bit, my buddy Scott was like, this was probably summer of 2021. So I was like going into my sophomore year, I was like 16. And he was like, yo, dude, like me and my brother are going to go to the gym. You should tag along. I'm like, okay, like why not? I'm bored. And that first experience was awesome. Just like walking. It was the Beacon in Granger. Mm-hmm. And I don't even remember like what I hit. It was probably arms or something because that's what every kid hits when they go to the gym for the first time. And so like I went and hit arms. I'm like instantly fell in love with it. Like just, it kind of sounds dumb, but like getting a pump and everything, like kind of watching yourself work out and just the feeling of like accomplishment. That's something I really, really enjoyed. And then like at that same time too, like, I don't know if you were coaching yet, but I used to have awful cystic acne. Like it was bad. Mm-hmm. I had to like eventually hop on Accutane to finally like, get rid of it. But a lot of that too around that time, because I was like a sophomore and I, was a little boy wanting to get a girlfriend. But I'm like, I felt like ugly. I was insecure. Like, I was not good at football. So I was like, I was kind of confused on like kind of what to do. It was like a lot of self-pity, to be honest, which looking back was kind of, fitness shouldn't have been the only thing I was kind of looking for, but
that's normal.
Right.
15, 16.
Right. But, a lot of it was just insecurity and wanting to, make myself look more attractive. And so I just started going to the gym more. And at this point, like social media, like there wasn't, at least in my opinion, like there wasn't like an Alex Eubank or like a Max Taylor, like any like influencers out there. And then obviously bodybuilding, like I hadn't even thought about bodybuilding yet.
No.
I thought that was like complicated, whatever, out of my comfort zone or whatever. And so I kind of just started like doing my own thing. And then eventually, like as months went by, I like was getting a little bit bigger. I was eating. I was like continuing to learn like different aspects of fitness and how to put on size and how to train properly. And then eventually, like all these influencers started coming into the picture and starting to release more and more tips and how to train, how to bulk, how to cut, and all this stuff. And I kind of fell in love with it even more. It just kind of like continued to grow after that.
Did you flex in the mirror at 15?
Oh, 100%. Dude, I have photos of that. I'll have to show you after. I don't know if the cameras are ready for that, dude. Dude, I had the lifting gloves and everything, bro.
So
Like,
hold on.
oh.
Hold on. The best part about that, right, is that's so normal.
Yeah, it still is.
Today,
it still is.
Like people when they first start going to the gym or whatever, they feel like they have to have all these things. They feel like it's your first day in the gym and you have a gym bag full of things.
Yes,
stresses me out a little bit.
Like there's like I'm 3.5 years into this now, and like still my gym bag is so basic. I've got like in one pocket I've got like my knee sleeves and my wrist wraps, and then in another pocket I've got like lifting straps. Then I've got one bottle for like my pre-workout, one bottle to drink water out of, and like my headphones.
Yeah, that's
it. People have like all this different like I'm like, dude, you don't need different types of wrist wraps. You don't need all these different freaking
if you
supplements
go to a decent gym.
Yes,
most gyms have most of that stuff anyways. I remember the first time I had just grips, right? The straps, just to get grip. I only got those because the gym already had them, and I asked someone, why do you wear those? And they're like, while they were deadlifting, and they're like, this is why. And then I tried it, and I was like,
yeah, it's helpful. Like whenever Parker and I, the guy I compete with, whenever we hit any back movement, we always use wrist straps, even if it's on like a lat pull down, because if you're moving any sort of heavy weight, your forearm's going to give out before your back does. 100%. And so you're getting more of a forearm workout than a back workout. And like some people make the argument like, yeah, but that's how you grow your forearms. Like, no, you grow your forearms by picking up dumbbells every single day for 3 years. Like that's how you grow your forearms. Like if you want to target your back, you want to limit any other muscle as much as possible. And whether that's doing a row or doing a pull down or doing whatever, like your goal is to restrict any other muscle and target that specific like that's how bodybuilding works. It's breaking down a big muscle group individually and targeting that and hitting that with a lot of intensity, and then that's how you develop size over time. It's not like you're just going and freaking moving as much weight as possible recklessly with no form or technique or anything.
Well, so when I'm training my clients, I use a lot of bodybuilding / functional training within my training. And I remember I trained a trainer one time, and she was like, I was so used to doing like such heavy weights. And when she got to me, I'm training her with lightweight. And she's wondering, like, one, how am I getting a pump like this with lightweight? And two, when do we get to lift heavy weights? I know what's coming, but let's figure this out first.
Right.
But so you mentioned your dad. How did the people around you, like when you decided to full-time do this, how did the people around you like react, or how did that affect like your decision?
Right. That's a good question. I think much like any other young kid that gets into like a phase, like just to start with like my parents, every kid goes through these phases. Like every kid wants to be a YouTuber. Every kid wants to be like a singer. Every kid wants to be an NBA player. Like every kid wants to be something, right? And so whenever you tell your parents like, oh my goodness, I want to do this, like, okay, honey, like, sure. In the back of the mind, like, this kid's not gonna work out. This is not gonna happen. And so when I was getting into this, like my parents were like, they kind of viewed it as a hobby. But to me, obviously, it was much more than that. Like I didn't play any sports my junior year because I just wanted to focus on that. Because at that point, I was like, okay, I might be able to do something with this. But that was tough because during like my junior year, I was putting the gym before everything. Like the gym was going in the place of grades, hanging out with friends. I don't really think I didn't have a girlfriend at that time, but it was going before pretty much everything. Like if I was talking to a girl, if she didn't go to the gym, like I wasn't hanging out with her. Like that's where I hung out with everybody. And so my parents realized that, and so they were giving me a lot of restrictions as far as like you can't go to the gym more than this many times a week. And like a lot of people would view that as a little excessive, but I think like looking back now, because of course in the moment I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like you're limiting me being healthy. But like looking back, like it totally made sense because I was like my grades weren't doing well. I wasn't going out and socializing. Like I didn't really care. I just like wanted to get in the gym. And so like I think for a while my parents were a little unsure. Like they thought it was a hobby, but they thought it was like an obsessive hobby. Like it was a weird thing to get obsessive over because they didn't think I wanted to be like a bodybuilder. They thought I just want to be like big. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Influencer.
Yeah. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
That was a whole thing, man.
How'd your coaches react?
My football coaches?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember actually, this is funny you say that because I remember being at the gym when you called me and I'm like, I'm not going to answer this, dude. Because I already know I was going to get so much shit like, bro, where you at?
Yeah.
I'm like, I hear a lot of weights moving. Where you at? Like, I already knew you were going to give me so much crap for not being at practice. But like, that was tough because I didn't want to, I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to like quit because I didn't want to like piss people off, make people like, dude, like, are you serious? You're quitting me for going to the gym? But at the same time, it's like I didn't want to play because that was taking, like, you can't play a sport and train as intense. Like, you can't play football and have sore legs. That's just not going to work. And, like, they don't really go hand in hand. Like, you can train lightly and you can, I mean, obviously there's training, like, for a sport, but it's not the same. It's like I had to kind of pick and choose. And I didn't like how I handled it. I kind of just didn't answer people for a while until the last minute. But, I mean, that was just 16, 17-year-old me, like, not sure, like, how to handle a situation.
And I will tell you, as one of your coaches, like, yeah, I gave you shit for it.
Yeah.
I knew what it was. I'm in that space, right?
Yeah.
I'm not in that space to bodybuilding level,
Yeah.
but I'm in that space of understanding, like, if this is really what he wants to do, he has to do it all the way. And, like, I remember I even said to you something, I was like, just use football as your cardio.
Yeah.
That was just like having lack of numbers. But I was so proud that you decided to make the decision and go all the way in.
Thanks,
like,
man.
So I just wanted to give you that real quick and let you know, like, yeah, don't ever feel bad about choosing yourself. Because
I appreciate
you
that.
knew what you wanted to do,
Yeah.
and you said, you know what, I'm going to commit to it tenfold, and I commended you for that the whole season. Like, no matter how mad I got at other players, because I was like, man, Lance might have been able to do this better than you, but it's fine.
I still get crap for the championship game, bro.
I
still have people bring that
I don't know
up.
why you had to bring that up. I've never been as mad at a player like I did that game for you. And it wasn't mad on the fact if you made a mistake.
Yeah.
It was how you handled it. I was more mad about that.
I freaking shut down, dude.
Oh, I remember I was like, where's Lance?
Yep.
My man sitting beside me.
Yeah.
He's on the side.
Okay, but to be fair, because it's my girlfriend's brother, Jacob, that brings this up
Yeah.
all the time, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to be fair, all right, that team solely relied on their running back it was like a Mishawaka.
Yeah.
Like, all they did was run the ball. And the one time, like, they just been running the ball up the middle the whole game. And the one time that I bite, because it looked like he was running up the middle, I took that 1 or 2 steps forward. Of course, the receiver just blows by me, and it's just easy. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like,
Listen,
I mean, to be fair, whatever. We're not going to get into it.
yeah,
We don't need to
and
talk
look,
about
the game of football is one off
Yeah.
of mistakes.
Right.
Anyways, let's get off of that. Let's get off of that. That's
safe to get
some
off
bad
of.
oil off of that. Now, like I said, you've been doing this for 3.5 years now. What have you found? And all this is your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What are some like misconceptions that you get from the fitness industry?
The first one being that I would say bodybuilder, like bodybuilding is not a sport.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's still very controversial. Like, you'll still see stuff about that all over social media. Like, people say bodybuilding is not a sport, football is a sport. Oh, 100%, football is a sport. But I think at any level, if you compete in any capacity, I would argue that that's a sport. Any sort of competitive nature that goes towards a competition that requires a lot of work and discipline, I would 100% call it a sport. That's why I wouldn't say, like, I don't know, a painting contest is a sport, because there's not a ton of physical exertion that's being put into it. I mean, you can look at it however you want, but I mean, until you like go through the whole bodybuilding, like preparing for a show, I would dare you to tell me it's not a sport after
I could
that.
easily tell you 100% it's a sport. If you do any sport, any athlete out there that does, let's say you're a 3-sport athlete, and you're at the highest level, I dare you to do bodybuilding, and I guarantee bodybuilding is 10 times harder than any sport you'll ever do.
Right. And like, is there talent in bodybuilding? Like, is there skill? No, not nearly as much skill in bodybuilding as it would be in basketball or golf even. Like golf takes a ton of skill.
Golf's not a sport.
Really? You don't think golf's a sport?
Hold on. Here,
Oh, okay.
and listen, and I know how close you are to Beck, so I'm going to say this too, because I watch him golf all the time.
Yeah.
And I hate him because he's so good. I picked up golf this summer, and golf is not a sport, and the reason why golf is not a sport is because that is the only thing you need no athletic ability to do. Okay? You need athletic ability to lift.
Right,
And you have to be some sort of athlete to be able to produce muscle like that. Okay? But golf, look at the senior tour. Look at those guys who are golfing. Okay? Those guys can't even pick up their own pants, let alone drive a ball 250 plus yards.
That's actually a good point.
I have literally been on the golf course and I have looked over and seen 90-year-old men, 90, okay,
type shit,
and strike the ball, and I'm over here like fit in shape, and I'm sitting here like,
I don't even know. To be honest, I don't even know how far I could hit a golf ball. Like, I go to Top Golf and like I'll like whip that hoe, but like. It's probably not even touching anything close. Like, there's some 70-year-old Ernest that's sitting 60 feet away from me.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, but back to what we were talking about. Is there skill necessarily that goes into bodybuilding compared to other pro sports? Absolutely not. Like, of course, there's a lot. That's a second misconception I'll get into, actually, about posing. But overall, like, I would 100% say that bodybuilding is a sport. And I think a lot of people look at it as it's a beauty pageant. I'm like, no. I mean, are you trying to look the best compared to everyone else? Absolutely. But like in a beauty pageant, you slipped out the womb looking like that. Like, you don't slip out the womb standing at 6'1", 280 pounds cut, bigger than the biggest man on stage. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that requires, and like, there's just so much, man. It's frustrating because when you try to talk to people that are so like close-minded, it's like you've already lost the argument before you even start. Like, the second misconception I would say is posing. People think that posing is stupid or posing is easy. If you go to like any sort of what's it called? Not like a program. I can't think of the word. Clinic, posing clinic, where you have pro bodybuilders run you through posing. Like, that stuff is exhausting.
How tiring is that? Like,
it is, like, when you go on stage, like, not to mention, when you're on stage, you're already completely depleted of water for more than 24 hours. You have little to no food in your system. You're exhausted. Odds are you're on low sleep, because if you have stage fright, you're not getting any sleep the night before. Plus, like, when you get all tanned up, like, you can't sleep with blankets or anything on, because then your tan will get all over the blankets. You can't sleep when it's warm, because then you'll get sweaty and the tan will like get all messed up. It's like you're sleeping in a cold room with little to no clothes on the night before, like everything you've been working for the past year or maybe even longer. Like, there's a lot going through your brain the night before the show. So no sleep, no food, no water. And you are all of a sudden thrown in a hot room next to everyone else who's worked just as hard, if not harder than you, that are all wanting this with their entire capacity, and you're just hitting these poses, and you're flexing as hard as you can, and there's just so much technique that goes into it that a lot of people don't realize. And like you're not on stage posing for like a couple seconds and you hop off, like maybe if you're men's physique. But if you're in classic or open, like you're up there for anywhere from a couple minutes to almost 10 minutes, depending on what, if you're in the prejudging, if you're in finals, you have pose downs, depends on how many classes you're in, because there's like novice or there's masters, which is like if you're over a certain age, like it totally depends. But people think posing is like walking on a stage and posing is so easy. But I'm telling you, like, and it makes sense until you've done it. Like until you've like actually tried it, there's no way you're going to be able to understand how hard it is.
Let's dumb it down a little. Let's just talk about fitness in general. Okay. So in my opinion, I know one big misconception of fitness is you can go from A to Z in 12 weeks. Like, I think about how many times you see someone post their program, right? And it's, do my 12-week program, you'll look like this. And they post their junior high picture next to a picture that they've been working on for 16 years. Yeah. Right? So that's one for me. A big misconception is people thinking they can go from 0 to hero in
4 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah, like kills me.
It really depends, I would say, on obviously what your starting point is and what your program looks like. But I mean, will you get results? Yeah. But one thing that bothers me is like I'll be in the gym and like some of these people don't know better, and like of course I don't mean anything against them, but like I'm saying, how long did it take you to look like that, or how long did it take you to start seeing results? I'm like, dude, that is totally dependent on you. Like you will get out what you put in. So like if you are dedicating 6 days a week, training as hard as you can, sticking to a meal plan, you're not staying up till 3 a.m. swiping through Instagram, like what you put in is what you'll get out. So I'm like, if you want to look like this in this amount of time, then my friend, that is on you. Like, I think that also says a lot about that person. It's like, it's almost like asking, what's the least I can do to get to look like that? I'm like, you're already looking at it from the wrong angle. Like you can't be in the fitness industry if you're looking at the least to get by.
That's how most people look at it though. Like that is 90% of Gen Pop looks like that. It is they go, when most people join a program, that's what they're saying. They're going, what is the least? I'm hiring you because I want the least amount of work to get the most out of results. And as a coach myself in fitness industry, there's nothing more annoying. Like I have had many people not train with me because I will tell them 100% that. Okay, what are you trying to accomplish? What do you want to look like? I want to look like this. Okay, how long do you want to do it? 12 weeks. Where are you getting this information from?
Right.
Well, that's what the internet's saying. Yep. I will never forget a quick story. I'll never forget. I was training a guy. He was 65 years old.
Dang.
65 years old. And now any trainer will tell you a 65-year-old person can train just like I do, just like you do. Like they can train just like that. And you think, well, bro, he's 65 years old. No, dead serious. Like your muscles don't care about your age.
Right.
So I'm training him one day a week. 1 day a week. We go for probably 8 weeks. He doesn't lift really outside of that. And he comes up to me one day. He goes, you know what? I don't think we should keep doing this. And I'm like, okay. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. Why not? He goes, well, I'm not where I should be by now. According to what? Social media. Yeah. Right?
65-year-old on social media. Sorry, that's beside the point.
Yeah. So like, social media. I go, but you train 1 day a week. You have one protein shake and then you eat like trash the rest of the week and you don't work out. What do you think you're going to get? So like my question for you there is, what do you think social media has done to fitness?
That actually ties into the previous question about misconceptions is I kind of mentioned about it being a sport, the posing behind it, and like it being way more challenging than I think meets the eye. And the third thing is believing what you see on social media. Like so many people think that, oh my word, he looks like that. He has to look like that in real life then. And that is it's been a big thing, honestly, between these influencers that And that's kind of why, if you see my Instagram now, like I deleted probably like 90% of my posts because like I don't want that influencer title. Like I don't want, like I used to, but not anymore because of something like this. Like all these influencers are more concerned about getting likes, getting comments, and ultimately money at the end of the day. And so it's like they're going to great lengths to make themselves look like something they're not. And whether that's photoshopping their photos or using all these crazy edits, it's all a huge misconception. And obviously there are people that look good on social media and look good in person, but it's so hard to like focus on improving yourself when all you have to do is open your phone and you'll see like all these people that supposedly look better than you. Because there's this one guy, and I don't even know if this is true or not, but his name's Anthony Mantello. He he bodybuilds, he competes in, I think, men's physique. And there was this thing where people were talking about him like looking great on social media, and then they'll meet him in real life, like, wow, like you don't look the same. Like a lot of it too is height. Like a lot of people will look massive online, but when you meet them in person, they're like 5'6".
Yeah.
And so it's like social media is such a it's tough. Like if I didn't have to be on social media, I wouldn't. And the only reason I'm on it now is because with the goals that I have set for myself, I'm gonna have to have it. You know what I mean? Like if you want to make the money, like money from bodybuilding doesn't come from actually bodybuilding. It comes from the sponsorships, the endorsements that come along with it. And in order for that to meet those high expectations and that high capacity, you're going to have social media. But I think besides that, if you're getting into the gym and you're trying to hit this target goal of like your dream physique or like this end goal, the last thing you need is to open social media. Yeah. Because so many people, man, it's aggravating. Like I'll be going through reels and I'll see these people posting all these videos and everything. I'll be like interested. I'll click on the profile and then you'll compare it to the rest of their feed and it's like, dude, like these are so over edited. And like, I can't be mad because I used to do the same thing. Like when I was trying to compensate for not being as big as I wanted, I threw on like these crazy filters, turning up the definition and the contrast, like all this stuff to make like the line, like make me look more shredded, make me look more defined. I never went so far as a Photoshop, but I mean, I think when you edit something that heavy, it's like almost the same thing. Yeah. And so I think you just got to be careful. And the last thing your body needs is comparison. And at the end of the day, like you're never going to get away from that. Like I battle that every day, like with my roommate. Like I see him every day. I'm like, damn, like I wish I looked like that. Like you're never going to get away from it. But I think it all just kind of depends on your mindset. Like I don't look at people bigger than me and like close myself off in this little shell and cry myself to sleep. I'm like, dude, like I need to work harder. What am I doing? Go. Like I like that. Like that's why I wish there was a like a bigger, more hardcore, I don't know if that's the right word, like gym in the area. Because with the commercial gyms, man, like there's just so many people come in groups now, or they'll come in and set up like their tripod and cameras, which I used to do too. Yeah. But it's like now that I want to actually compete in bodybuilding, like I want to be surrounded by people that are bigger than me, better than me, more experienced than me. Like something that's going to motivate me to want to keep coming to the gym. And like, of course, there's a handful of people. Like I've met a couple pros at the gym that I go to, but it's like the ratio of experienced lifters or bodybuilders compared to the rest of the population is so different. And it's like, and I think anyone else would agree, if they're passionate about something, you're going to want to be surrounded by people that are better than you, because that's how you get better. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, that's something that maybe I end up opening my own gym one day. Who knows? But
the thing that's hard about that, and we'll circle back to the social media part here in a second, but the thing that's hard about that is you have to think of how many people actually just want to work out, or the gym is social. The gym is social. Like, think of how many times you've gone to the gym and you see the same person over and over, and so you guys end up having that some sort of relationship. Sure. So like, and I've gone on record to say this all the time. Like, this gym is probably more social, especially the commercial gyms are more social than it is to be there to work out. Where what you're trying to do is I don't want to say it's a 1%, but it's like a 10%
Yeah.
of the population actually wants to get in this space. So that's why you don't see a lot of those like grunge gyms
Yeah.
or the gyms like that, because you wouldn't have any money.
Right.
That gym wouldn't have any money because your commercial
point.
people are the ones who bring in the money.
Right. Like I can say like a majority of my friends, like back when I was saying earlier, like when
Yeah.
all I did was go to the gym, like most of my friends, even like to this day, I've met from being at the gym.
Right.
So I definitely get what you're saying. But like sometimes when like I mentioned earlier, my mindset's kind of changed. So now when I go to the gym and I see people I know, like I will love to catch up with you. I'll love to talk to you like before or after my workout. Like
But I gotta lock in right now.
I try to lock in. Like I notice that when I train and I don't talk to people, even Parker, like even when I'm training with Parker, who we have the same exact goals, the same exact drive, like him and I even rarely work out together, because it's like when you work out by yourself, you're just allowed to kind of like lock in and focus. Like whereas if you're talking to people in between sets, like your mind kind of just goes all over the place. And next thing you know, you're leaving like, man, I talked more than I worked out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so like I love socializing at the gym, but as long as it's before or after, like that's kind of where I prefer to kind of draw the line.
See, you mentioned that like people were setting up tripods. So I want you to know, like when I haven't been. I go to the gym every like Sunday at Planet Fitness just to socialize. But I haven't seriously been in a gym in a few years now.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there are like tripods and stuff, and like the fact that it's gotten to that point where people rather post up a whole tripod and record their workout for 12 likes is crazy to me.
I can't say anything because I did it too, and like I totally get the goal behind it, but it's just I don't know. Like if I'm in the gym and someone's got the tripod set up, like I'm not gonna like F you, like get out of here. Like I'm not gonna do that. Like that's just not I want to be. But at the same time, like when I was in that phase, like I tried the whole mic'd up thing. It was fun, but like my workouts were not good because I spent so much time setting up the tripod, putting on the mic, like trying to talk and like not sound stupid. Like there was just so much that it was more about recording than it was working out. And so like I wonder maybe if people that had their tripods out or the cameras out, like if they didn't have them out, if they would look better. Like that's kind of something that I've been thinking about. And of course, like I'm not here to diss anyone that does that. Like if anyone records, like by all means, like you do you. Like people make money and make a living off of that. Like if that's your goal is to get to that point, then by all means, like I respect the grind. But for me personally, it's like I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me anymore, and that's kind of why I stopped. That's kind of why I stopped posting in general, because I've come to the conclusion that like if I'm gonna be any sort of famous on social media, like I want to be known for me being great in what I do, not just because I happen to have a couple videos blow up and now I have like the Instagram algorithm in my favor. Like I want to be known for, and like Lance was one heck of a bodybuilder, not because he had
a
funny.
great social media presence.
I mean? Yeah,
I feel like what social media starts to do to anything is kind of water it down. I know for me, being a trainer, social media makes it hard because there's so much content out there. Like when you see someone doing a jump rope with a bench around their neck.
Yeah.
And I know I have clients out there that can see that.
Yeah.
And then they come back to me and they go, oh my gosh, like I want to do more challenging workouts and stuff like that. And I sit here and I go, based off of what? Oh, I saw this on Instagram. And you're sitting here like, half the stuff is not real, people.
Yeah, and Instagram is a dangerous place to get information from. And I made that mistake too when I first started. Is you're such a like when you're desperate to learn more about something, especially when you're passionate about it, like you are so gullible to believe anyone that has a lot of followers or looks above average. Like you're just going to believe everything they say. And that goes with how to train or how to eat. Like, oh, you can have X amount of cheat meals a week and still look like me. But in reality, it's like, no, you just happen to have a great metabolism and you're also 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like anyone else that maybe started a little heavier and is trying to get slimmer, no, they can't have 6
Right.
cheat meals a week.
Right.
Like it's just not a great place. And like, is there great information on social media? Yes, you just got to know where to find it and who to look for,
Yeah.
or like what people to look towards to get information from. But I would say the ratio of like true, credible information compared to just BS people pulled out of their ass
Mm-hmm.
is vastly different.
I remember there was a small window of
Mhm.
where I really wanted to compete.
Mm.
Right, like I really wanted to compete, and I found the meal plans. I was found like all the men's physique, Mr. Olympia guys at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was doing all the workouts. I had found their coaches. I was going on their YouTube page,
boy.
like
Okay.
listening to
Yeah.
all the advice they're putting on YouTube. And I was day to day, I was going through it, right? And then it got to a point where I realized like I'm not transforming like they are, and following them on social media and all that, for me it started to affect me mentally, right? To where I stopped trying to become a bodybuilder because I didn't want to deal with the mental aspect of it. Have you, like, what are some of the kind of mental obstacles that you've had to overcome within your 3.5 year fitness journey?
I think another thing too that you said was that kind of also plays into that point we were just on about social media. Like, you also have no idea if people are natural or not anymore. Like, it's like so many people lie about it and are not open about PEDs and whatever. Like, inherently, are they bad for the general public? Maybe for the general public, but regardless, people don't really disclose that on social media. It's like, if you look at someone and they look great, like, and they're enhanced and you're natural, you're always going to be feeling like you're playing the catch-up game. You're like, man, I've been training so hard, I've been doing everything right for X amount of months or X amount of years. Why don't I look like this person who's been training half as long as I have? I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I should just quit. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, exactly.
That
It's
was
like
me.
you have no idea like what people are taking, what they're doing behind the scenes, whether or not they're editing their photo. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah.
it's a whole misconception. But to kind of reel that back into what you were saying, for me, I never really battled like depression or anything from fitness, but I definitely battled a lot of self-worth. Like, for a while, I kind of made the gym like my identity. I was like, if I don't have the gym, I don't have anything type of thing. And I was always like comparing, like you were comparing myself to other people. And just once you get complimented once, you feed off of it. And like, you want people to say like, man, you look good, man, you've been working out, man, you're getting bigger. And so it's always just like seeking the approval of other people. And that kind of messed up with me. And like, that's just something, like, the minute you start working out is the minute you'll never be satisfied. It's kind of like a saying, because like body dysmorphia is definitely a thing. Like, you're never going to look how you want. And so I think, especially if you're going to compete, like, that's just something you're going to have to get over and you're going to have to deal with. Like, there's Chris Bumstead, who's now the 5-time in a row Mr. Olympia champion. Like, even he was like in podcasts and in YouTube videos talking about how he didn't feel like he looked great. Like, he was comparing himself to other people he was competing against. And this is the best in the world. Like, out of the entire population of the world, this guy is the best. And even he is struggling with like, man, I don't look how I want to look. So it's like, you're never gonna overcome that. And I think once you realize that it's just your brain like playing mind tricks on you, like, it gets a lot easier. But as far as like mental, I mean, that's kind of the main thing. And then the only other time I'd have really struggled with anything mentally would be preparing for my first show, because kind of how it started was I was playing my senior year of basketball. Like, at this point, once I was 17, I was like, I want to bodybuild. But like, my senior year is when because you have to be 18. And so there was a show that I wanted to do, but I was still finishing my senior year of basketball. And so when I hired my coach, at this point it was like March and the show was in June. And so like typically when you prepare for a show, you go through an off season or you bulk for X amount of months. And this is anywhere from 6 months to like, you could even go so far and say 24 months. Of course, you have like mini cuts in between, but I mean, it depends on how big you want to get. And so typically how that works is you bulk, just keep it simple. You bulk and then you cut and then you go into a prep, which is like unhealthy cut. And so, I never had a bulk because I was playing sports and I'm not going to play a sport that requires 5 to 6 days out of the week, train and eat. Like there's no way. So once that was over, I just went straight into a cut. It's like when I started, I was 185 and then by the time I was on stage, I was in the 160s. So I had lost 20 pounds. Like, was I shredded? I was probably sub 5% body fat. Like I had never been as lean as I wasn't. And it felt great. But dude, like I'm telling you, like when I would look in the mirror, like I would just have to keep like my hoodie on. I'm like, I don't want to look at myself because like I felt so small. Like obviously when you're in a calorie deficit, you're not moving as much weight as you normally do. And so it's just like it all gets in your head, and that on top of like you're always hungry. Like when you're like that's something a lot of people don't get in a prep is like I went from living a normal life to okay, so you're gonna do cardio for 30 minutes at 5 a.m. before school, and then after school you're gonna work out and then do another 30 minutes after. And like I was working at this point, so I wasn't getting home till like 1 a.m. And then it's just a whole cycle. And so when you're not eating hardly any food, like the meal plan is so strict. Like you can't even it's a protein bar, you can't have that. Like it's literally whatever's in your meal plan, which is maybe 4 to 5 meals a day, and it consists of chicken and rice with a little bit of seasoning, 0-calorie sauces or hot sauce. It's just like the meals were so non-filling, and so you're always hungry, you're always tired. Obviously when you go through a prep and you're putting your body through all that tension and all that stress, your test is gonna skyrocket downward, and so you're just overall not feeling great. And that's just what happens when you compete in bodybuilding. And thankfully I had Parker, we had the same coach, and that's how we ended up meeting and becoming friends, is because we went through that whole process together. And so there would be so many nights where like we'd call each other, we'd be playing Fortnite, and we'd just be talking about how much we like hated our lives. We're like, dude, like, did you cheat all today? No. Good. That's good. Don't cheat. And just keeping each other accountable and, you know, just kind of talking about how we felt, because at that point, like, you feel like no one else really understands because, of course,
no one's doing that.
No, of course. And then you got, you know, I'm still in high school, so I got kids like waving zebra cakes in front of my face, poking jokes.
Dicks.
I know, dude. And I was just like, that is awful. And like they'll be saying like, and like my family even, they were like, hey, we're going to Chick-fil-A, like. And then, like, I would sit there and watch them eat Chick-fil-A. And, like, I would have to bring my own food. And some restaurants won't even let you bring food in. So I have to sit there, starving, like, my stomach is hurting. And I'm watching them down Chick-fil-A sandwiches. I'm just saying, like, is it even worth it at this
different
point?
level of torture.
Yes. Like, that whole process, it was tough. But, like, was it – obviously, it was rewarding because I was able to, like, qualify, which is a huge thing. But – to answer the question about mental battles, like, yes, like mentally, I was struggling throughout that prep. And that's how it is. Like, you go to any big bodybuilder, like, prep is not hard, or prep is not easy. It's hard. And, like, especially within that last week, when it's called peak week.
Yeah. So
that's when you're on the least amount of food and you are doing the most cardio. Like, I was going at like 5 a.m, like I said before school. I was doing the Stairmaster for an hour. I would drive to the gym at 5 a.m. just to go on the Stairmaster for an hour, and then go to school, go to work, and then I would go train, and then go on the Stairmaster for another hour. For like that was it for like the whole week.
God, how's your grades?
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
That was the last thing I was thinking about.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like I needed to sit in a sauna for X amount of minutes. There's no sauna around here. I had to drive 40 minutes multiple times a week to the gym in Goshen just to sit in the freaking sauna.
Yeah.
Like, it is such a grind, and it sucks, man. But, dude, the feeling after,
yeah,
like, I sobbed after my show. because like after you place the way you want it to, and after like it's all over, you can finally eat food. Like you'd be surprised, man. Like the food that you'll crave and the food you take for granted. Like the first thing I ate is I put Jif peanut butter in my backpack with a knife because I didn't have a spoon. And immediately after the show, the first thing I did is I went back there and just started like housing peanut butter. It was so good, man.
That's so funny.
It was so worth it, but no, it was mentally.
And you know what? So I think it's crazy because, like, first off, I want to go back to body dysmorphia because so many people deal with that. And I'm gonna get adult here. So many people deal with that from especially like I know a lot of ladies deal with that. Like you just had a baby or whatever, blah blah blah. Even the people who are in the best shape in the world still deal with body dysmorphia. Still feel like I don't look the way I want to look. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself, guys. Like stop putting so much pressure on how you need to look. If you put a t-shirt and some jeans on and some shoes and you feel good, that's all you need, okay? You don't need all this. Like when the top physiques in the world don't feel enough in their own skin, how are you who work at the bank supposed to feel about that? Like it's okay. It's okay. Do you feel like there are any and this could be a very cliche question, like any good benefits of mentally when it comes to fitness and bodybuilding, anything like that? Or is it all just bad?
I would say I think it all depends on your approach. I think the gym within itself is a very dark place. I think a lot of people look at the gym as an outlet, which there's nothing wrong with that. But when that is your only source of happiness, like naturally like the gym is not enough to make you happy. Like say that all you want. I think that there are a lot of good sides to going to the gym, I think, or just fitness in general, whether that's bodybuilding or just getting in shape. Like being able to look at your journey, like when I look at photos of me from me being 15, 16, I'm like, dude, that like I don't even recognize myself to be honest. And like sometimes like when you're feeling like that, you just need to look at where you were and see how far you've come, and then it's just like that's kind of all you need, because it's like a reminder of like I may not feel like doing this, I may not feel like I'm doing enough, but I am, and like this is evidence of that. You know what I mean? And I think it just totally depends on your approach. I think if you view the gym as something where like I hate myself and I'm depressed, I want to kill myself, like, and that's your outlet, like that's only going to do you good for so long. Like that's just how it is. And I think like for me, like my relationship with God has grown a ton since bodybuilding, because like I said, when that's all I did, like it like makes you feel, I don't want to say empty because that sounds cliche, but like low-key empty, because it's like this is all I do. You know what I mean? Like, do I look good? Yeah, but like, what do I have besides this?
What else is there? And
so like that's something that I've really been, especially within the last few weeks, man, like looking at how I view the sport is like, do I love this? Yeah, but like I don't need this. Like I don't need to bodybuild. I don't need to go to the gym to be happy. Like, does it help? Absolutely. Like I don't need this. And so I think, yes, I keep going off track a little bit, but
no, you're good.
Fitness definitely does help a lot, and I think it changes a lot of people's lives for the better. Like getting in shape provides so much mental clarity and so much confidence. Yeah, for sure. Like I used to like back when COVID was a thing, I used to always wear a mask, even if I didn't have to, not because I was scared of the virus, but because I had like really bad acne, like I said, and that was the only way I could like cover it up. And I was always wearing hoods. Like I was never, like I was just very, very insecure and was not happy in my own skin. And so going to the gym, allowing me to kind of just better myself. Like, do I still have insecurities? Of course, everyone has insecurities, but like my confidence has so completely changed. And like, I'm so comfortable like in my own skin now. And it's such a relief. And like how it that happened for me is definitely going to happen for other people. And so I think as long as your approach is I want to better myself, I want to become healthier, like you're going to get, like I said earlier, like you're going to get out of it what you put in.
Yeah.
So if you're going to put in like all these positive mindsets and these positive results that you want to get, then you're going to get it. You're going to get it through hard work and staying consistent.
That's dope. How important is nutrition?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
So there's a saying that fitness is 90% nutrition, 10% like training.
Mm-hmm.
I don't totally agree with that, to be honest. I would say it's more 70-30. Does diet play a huge role? Yes, but dude, training, I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it too much from like a bodybuilder perspective. I don't want to say that because diet is absolutely the most important thing, without a doubt. Like since I hired a coach and since I've been sticking to a meal plan, like my physique has changed for the better 110% than if I was just eating whatever I could find or whatever mama made, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And is diet crucial, especially when you're competing? If you're competing 100%, diet is the most important thing, without a doubt. But to kind of keep it more general in the overall fitness industry, I think that, yes, absolutely, diet is very important, but how you train, I would say, is right there underneath. Like, you'd be surprised the amount of people that don't train. Maybe it's not surprising, but there's a lot of people that don't train with intensity, that don't train with purpose. They go to the gym strictly because, in order to lose 20 pounds, I got to do this. So I'm just going to show up, and hopefully my presence here in the gym will be enough to work towards that goal.
So many people.
And so I think that the ratio should be a little bit different. Just how you train is also right up there with nutrition. But also, it's hard for me to answer that question too because I was skinny pretty much my whole life, and so I could eat like ass and still like not gain a single pound. Like you wouldn't even be able to tell. Whereas if someone started heavier, right, and they started eating like Eli Guzman, for example, like this dude who had still one of the craziest, like he's still on that grind. Like he had one of the craziest transformations I've ever seen. And he took his diet more serious than anyone I'd ever met, at least at that time in my life. And it was crazy because like he would tell me that he would have one thing slightly unhealthy, whether that was like a cupcake or a slice of pizza. And he was like, dude, I gained 2 pounds the next morning. I'm like, that is crazy. Like it's hard for me to say because it totally depends on your age, your metabolism, what your starting point is at. Like for me, diet, like I was still able to make the success that I did and the growth that I did without eating crazy healthy. Like I was not eating healthy, to be completely honest. I was eating pretty much whatever I wanted. I ate fast food all the time. I just had a couple protein shakes here and there, and I was still able to stay relatively lean, still put on size, still get stronger. And then there's the guy next to me who it's a complete opposite for him. So to answer the question, man, yes, diet is very, very important. It is very important. I think it just totally depends on what your goals are and like what your body's like. Like I can't sit here and make a meal plan for the entire population because everyone's body is different. Like that's kind of what coaches are helpful for and why they're expensive is because they make a meal plan that is unique to you and they see how your body reacts to how many carbs you're intaking, how much water you're taking versus, how much cardio you're doing. Like it's a whole thing, man.
That part that you're saying about the coach right there resonates with me because I tell my clients like this is trial and error. Right? Like what you've been doing for however many years hasn't worked for you. That's why you came to me. Right. And now what it is we need to figure out what best works for you. So like, and me, I have a relationship with food. I like food. Right.
So do I.
And I tell people, not only that I train, but if someone asks me advice, I go, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be a bodybuilder? If you're trying to be a bodybuilder, okay, then you need to pinpoint exactly every single calorie you're putting in your body. Yep. Now, if you have just a full-time job that you just kind of just kick it with, right, bud?
I got I'm looking over at you, and there's just like this little strand of hair
You're
that's
good,
like sticking out, dude. I had to like pull it out.
No, if you just work a regular 9 to 5 and you have like a regular life, eat food, man. Like eat food, but don't. It's the consumption of the food. It's it's when that food feels too good to you, right? It's when you start to abuse food is where it gets bad. So is nutrition important? 100% it's important, right?
Yes.
In every aspect, because there's food allergies. There's things that will inflame you from food. There's consuming too many processed foods and digestion. Like there's so many levels when it comes to nutrition. But to sit here and say, oh, I need to do this diet or this diet or this diet.
Yes.
I have a huge problem with people who feel like they need to stick to, I got to do keto or I got to do paleo or I got to do blah, blah, blah. Drives me nuts.
It's like it's so obvious almost that like clearly you got to eat healthy if you want to look good. That's why it's like I don't want to say it's a dumb question to say is diet like is it 90% diet, 10% training? I think again it's the same thing. Are you just looking for a way of like saying, okay, well, can I eat like just a little unhealthy? No, it's like clearly you got to eat good to look good, but it's like that's why I mentioned the training is so important because you can eat healthy all you want, and like still train at the bare minimum and still not look good. Like someone that doesn't eat the greatest but trains like a monster is going to look better than the person that
100%.
like eats healthy but does not train with intensity. And so that's why like my method is to keep it super basic. Like if some random Joe came up and he's like, dude, how do I get fit? I'm like, okay, well, keep your fats at an all-time minimum. Make sure you're getting in good protein, not protein from a protein shake. Yes, that's good. But like actual, like real protein from like peanuts, almonds, obviously your chicken, your ground beef, ground turkey even. There's fish. As long as you're keeping your protein for like per, how much do you weigh? 175. Okay, so shoot for 200 grams of protein a day. Okay, your carbs, shoot for like 300. You need carbs to build muscle. You need carbs for energy. You need carbs in order to perform at a high level. Keep that high. Don't get carbs from a cosmic brownie.
Yeah.
Get carbs from oatmeal. It's a great source. Bananas, fruits have a lot of,
I love cosmic brownies.
Fruit have great carbs in them. Obviously there's your rice. Pasta is a great form of carbs. Like it's very simple from a general standpoint. That's why I think, like you said, like yes, diet is important, but like if you're not training hard, it literally doesn't even matter.
No, and that's the misconception for me that is so annoying with fitness is everyone has this sort of XYZ plan that's supposed to get you right, right? And none of that works just for you, or none of it works for you. It's what works for you. We have to find out what works for you. So like if I hear the word keto thrown around so much, and I hear people like, oh, I don't eat carbs, but you have a burger with cheese and bacon and all this junk on it. But since there's no carb on it, you feel like you're doing good.
Yeah, good luck making any progression. Like here's the thing. It's not, I love this saying, and maybe it's cliche, but it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, if you diet hard for a year and you dedicate yourself to looking better, losing weight, whatever it is, and you look great, okay, so what happens when you hit that mark, right? Do you just like wake up the next morning and start eating like trash again? Then you're right back to where you started.
That's exactly what people
do.
do.
I mean? Like if you want to look good and you want to look however your dream physique is, if you will, like in your own head, like it is, if you want that temporarily, then sure, fine, go on ahead. Like you're just going to be unhappy. If you want it for like year round, you want it for the rest of your life, like you just got to give up eating unhealthy. Like it sucks, but it's boils down to what do you want more? Do you want a cheeseburger or do you want to look good?
And I will tell you, every once in a while I will challenge that, right? Because if, in my opinion, if you do it correctly, you can enjoy food. And the reason why I say that is if you go to China or another country where we're not in America, you don't see a lot of heavy set people. That's because their food's not processed.
Yep.
Okay, so for me, if you want to live a decent lifestyle and have decent results, just whole meals. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
whole meals and workout. Um, that's my opinion with nutrition. Now, like I said, if you're trying to get into a sport, that's different.
That's where it's hard to draw the line. Like when you ask me about nutrition, like it's hard because it really depends. Like, excuse me, what your goals are. Like,
Mhm.
if you want to compete and you want to be a pro bodybuilder, diet is like your training. If that's your mindset, your training should already be like you should already be training intense. Like at that point, 100% diet's the most important thing. But if you look at it from like another lens where people just want to get fit, then I would say honestly, it's more of the training aspect because a lot of people that like if you take your normal person versus someone that is training to be a bodybuilder, they're going to be training completely different versus intensity versus workout schemes. They're just going to be different here and there. I'm not saying that they can't have some similarities, but for the most part, they're going to be a little different. And so that's why I'm saying, like, I think it's different for someone who has goals to just be fit. I think there's a lot more leeway as far as diet goes. But like you said, generally, like, yes, you can enjoy food, but as long as you keep it like on the healthier side, not that you can't have cheat meals or not that you can't snack, but it's like if you keep it on the healthier side, like you're not going to look like a bodybuilder and that's fine. But like if that's what your goals are is to look fit, to make yourself more presentable, then 100% you can look great and still eat not whatever you want, but
No, but
you know what I mean?
move your body. Eat whole foods, not whole foods to store, but eat a whole meal and work out.
Right.
And listen, people ask me all the time, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? Right? The second they find out I'm a trainer, and I go, are you in a calorie deficit? Like if you're someone overweight and you're trying to lose weight, are you in a caloric deficit? What's that? Okay, track your calories for a week the same way you eat now.
Mm-hmm.
Find out how much you're eating now just to stay alive,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's work off of that.
Yeah.
And in the simplest form, that's the easiest way to do it. Like, that's it.
The hardest part at that point is honestly tracking your food. Like, it's just you don't want to do it. It can take some time at times because if it's homemade, like it's not something you just like look up in the app. It's something that you gotta
two
like
2 teaspoons of.
Yeah,
right.
like it gets meticulous, and I mean, thankfully it's progressed to the point where now you can like scan QR codes or like scan barcodes and like it automatically puts it in there. Like you can save meals that you've made. It's like if you make the same breakfast every morning, you don't have to type it in every time. You can like save it as like a preset and you can incorporate it that way.
My app, movement app, that's what you can do. That you can scan the barcode, you can save your meals, you can build your meal in there. So like there's a ton of tools out there to help, and not everything is 100% accurate. But if you can get as close as you can, especially if you're someone who's been eating like bullshit your whole life, just cleaning it up, you'll find out that like, man, all I did was just clean it up just a little bit and start working out a little bit harder.
Plus, I think it'll surprise you too. Like when you look at what you've been eating and you look at the macros behind it, you're like, "Damn, man, I really do eat bad."
Yeah,
like,
or I don't eat enough. That's the one I find out the most.
Really?
People don't eat enough because what happens is your body goes into starvation mode, and that's how you start storing fat because your body thinks like especially if I think of my wife, she is the busiest person on the planet, right? Like at work, she's like busting ass all day.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, hey, what'd you eat today? Oh, I had like a cracker and a piece of cheese. Right? Your body thinks it's starving. It's never going to get food.
Yeah.
So that's how a lot of people store fat, and come to find out,
your body goes into panic mode, like wants to hold on
right.
to it.
And that's exactly what happens.
Right.
And so, and that's where people start saying, wait, I need to eat more. I'm trying to lose weight. Well, yeah, you need to eat more because you haven't been eating enough to maintain what you're doing now, and your body's storing whatever you're putting in it. So yeah, just to kind of jump off of that.
You're good.
What and I asked this question because I know how hard it is to do what you do, especially at your age. How do you stay consistent? What inspiration do you get just to stay consistent?
There's a few things that go into that. I would say the first thing would just 100% be my passion. I can't sleep at night knowing, a little bit of an exaggeration, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I can't go to sleep peacefully knowing that I should have trained today and I didn't. Like, it's just becomes such a part of like my normal day-to-day thing. It's like, it's just a habit for me. And so it's not a matter of, man, I don't want to go to the gym. It's like, man, I want to go to the gym like every day. The second thing I would say, it definitely helps. Like, as of right now, it definitely helps being roommates with someone that you've competed with in the past. You have the same coach. You're competing together in the future. You have identical goals and aspirations. So you have someone to kind of pick you up maybe if you're feeling like a little down. Like, maybe I don't want to train, or maybe I don't want to eat this meal. But you have someone's like, hey, man, like, remember what we're trying to do here. Like, remember what we want to do and what we want to be in the next however many years. Like, this is important. Like, it may seem like a small step, but you know the saying, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, it's brick by brick type of thing. And so that's another thing that really helps. I think the most important thing would definitely be finding a routine. I know that's obviously going to be challenging for some people because for example, if you're a cop and you've got all these crazy hours, like, it's not going to be as easy from someone that works a 9 to 5. You know what I mean? As far as getting meals in, training normally. As of right now, like, for an example, my schedule is I have classes. I go to ISB, so my classes are 10 to 5, Mondays and Wednesdays, right? So all day I got classes. And then the rest of the work week, so Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, I work 10 to 5. And so typically how it works is I'll wake up in the morning, I'll have my breakfast, I'll go to class. After the end of like my second class, I'll come back, eat another meal. Go to my third class, I'll have like a 2-hour break. I come home, I eat another meal, do homework, take a nap, whatever. Go to my final class, come home, I eat again. And then that's like a pre-training meal. So I try to go to the gym, or Parker and I try to go to the gym around 6:30 to 7:30. It totally depends on like if we've had any food pre-made or the weather looks like. We also try to go later because it's not as busy. Train, get home at like 9:30, 10, eat again, shower, and then eat again.
I would not be able to sleep.
There's a lot of nights, like, eventually your body gets used to it, but there's a lot of nights where like you literally can't sleep on your side because like you can just feel all the food sitting there. Like, it is a lot, but like once you establish like a firm regimen, like it's just like you don't even have to think about it. It's just like something you do normally. And like I think that's what a lot of people miss out on is they don't have a specific schedule. They just train whenever they feel like it, or I mean, some of that stuff is out of their control 100%. Like some people have jobs where they have to be on call, so sometimes they'll get called out at random times in the day. Like that's what Parker's doing right now for maintenance. He's on the maintenance staff, so periodically he'll be assigned like during the week where if there's any issues, it could be at 2 a.m. We'll have to go and help. Like we'll be at the gym, he'll get a call and he'll have to leave, and I'll have to come back and train there. Like some stuff is out of people's control, but for the most part, since the majority of the world works a 9 to 5, it's just making it a habit, whether like you don't want to go or not. Like I've found honestly that the nights that I don't want to train and I end up going, I have the best workouts of my life. It's so weird how that works. Like I've stopped taking naps like in the evening, because especially with how dark it gets now, like you go to bed and you wake up and it's dark, your brain is just like already in sleep mode. And so it's even harder to drag your body out of bed and go to the gym. So it's just picking up on small things, reading your body, seeing how your body reacts to certain activities and whatnot. But for me, the biggest part, 100%, was just sticking to a strict schedule, and that just makes everything so much easier.
See, I love that. There's 2 parts of that I caught, having a process, right? I talk about that just in business in general, is your process is your business, and which for you, bodybuilding is your business. And the second part is the people you have around you, right? How much easier do you think it is having someone?
So much. Like, I don't know if I would have been able to stick it through like my prep for the show if Parker hadn't been like on that other side. Like it just makes everything so much easier. Like I think that's another good point you brought up. Like if you can find someone that, and that goes back to a term like surrounding yourself with people like that are going to make you better. Like if you can find even just one person that is in the same headspace as you, as far as like I have the same goal, like someone that can continue, like you just feed off of each other, someone that can push you when you need it. Like that is so underrated. I think a lot of people nowadays think they have to get stuff on their own, and like you don't have to do that. Like if you go to school with someone or you're friends with someone that is just as driven as you are, then why not reach out and say, hey, like I know we have the same goals, like let's do this together, let's figure out ways we can keep each other accountable and like keep motivating each other, because otherwise, like I feel like I wouldn't say you're hurting yourself, but you're missing out on so much like progress, because it helps
huge.
so much.
That's huge. You see it all the time where people say your net work is your net worth. And me at the age I'm at now, I'm so locked in with that, because I've done bad business with trying to be with friends, trying to be with people that I grew up with, saying like, no man, like we're so close that
you feel like you have to
you feel like you have to, when actually a complete stranger with the same drive as you will take you way further than someone that you've been hanging out with. Because what happens is and this is a whole sidebar, when you hang out with people, when you do business with people that you've known for a long time, they see you in a certain frame.
You're right.
And they can't see you outside of that frame. Where a complete stranger sees you for what you are at face value right there, and the things that I'm saying, hey,
like all personal connection is like
it's completely
there's nothing
out.
To
it's
bias
all,
a decision.
100%. So that's the two things I took about from there is have a process, and the people you surround with got to be like-minded. Like that's so dope, and the fact that you have that at your age now, the sky's the limit for you.
I appreciate that.
So you place second, right, in your competition at 18. That's awesome. Right? Like that.
I appreciate
like people are gonna sleep on that and not have any idea like how hard that is. Walk me through that journey.
Man, how much time do you have is my question. I could talk about that forever. So it's hard because like what you were saying, like it's kind of underappreciated. Like that's fine. Like I'm not really here for like, I try not to tell everybody that, I play second at my show. Like I just don't really want to be like cocky. And of course, like I have my moments, but like, it's just kind of something you got to keep in mind. But it's hard because like when people ask like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a bodybuilder. They're like, you are? Yeah. Because like in their mind, it's like a bodybuilder is someone that's just freaking huge, like a men's open guy. And so like a lot of it's taking getting used to. And like sometimes I say like I just compete in amateur bodybuilding. So there's that. But as far as that whole process goes, and man, like I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Like you kind of know the whole mental side of it and how like just that feeling of accomplishment, like relief at the end. That's I think when I kind of realized that like maybe I can do something with this. Yeah. And that's when I started taking it like I was already taking it serious, but then I was like locked in. And so I started to go to more competitions and more shows and like see what other people were looking like. Just because I enjoy shows, I like being able to relate to everyone that's on that stage. And it just like it's a little fire that kind of gets set, because you only compete like it's not like any other sport where you compete multiple times in like a week or in a month. Like it's kind of like fighting where like you prep for years or months for this one moment, then it's over. Yeah. And so it makes you not take anything for granted. Like every training session, every cardio session, every meal, you're just like, this is getting me closer to my goal. And that's something that I had to really keep in mind. And like, it's unfortunate because the guy that I lost to, I think I actually might have been the youngest person there, because Parker's like 3 months older than me. And we were the only 18-year-olds there. The guy that I lost to was 41. I'm pretty sure. He was definitely up there. He had like 50K on Instagram too, which I found out. That's pretty dope. But he got his pro card like 2 weeks later after that.
Yeah.
So like I keep that chip on my shoulder knowing like, hey man, I lost to a pro, so I'm not even mad.
Or think of it as you're that much closer.
That much closer. Like it was tough because he was 185 on stage lean. I was like 160, 160.
yeah.
Like that's a whole 20 pounds of not just muscle, but muscle maturity.
Yeah.
And so like that's another thing too, where like now I'm considering enhancements. Like I'm planning to start taking enhancements because that's just a necessary step to get there. And I mean, it's
Well, so okay, let's think about this, right? He was 41.
mm-hmm.
Okay, you have no idea how long his journey was, right? How long was your journey right there?
My journey probably, and from a bodybuilding standpoint, about a year.
Right.
And a half. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I was 41. I can guarantee you he's been probably doing this since he was at least his 30s. Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing, like how you never compare your year 1 to his year 10, right? So to me, that right there is a testament to you. So talk your shit, stand on it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I've doing this for a year,
Yeah.
and I got second naturally, right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, and you don't know what he had going on. You don't know. I mean,
You don't,
was
man,
it
you
tested?
No, this wasn't a natural show. This was like, it doesn't matter if you're like you could be natural or you could be enhanced. Like
You lost to someone who was enhanced.
I don't know that for sure.
I'm telling you right now.
He had.
I'm telling you right now. No, I'm telling you. I didn't even see him. I can tell you. He's 41.
Yeah.
His testosterone has been gone since 25.
Yeah.
Like he's on. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. You'd be surprised the amount of guys that are up there that are like in their 40s or like mid 30s that look insane.
Yeah. Well, and so, and I'll give you just a quick. Once you turn like 35, the doctor's asking you about your testosterone.
Right. It's actually interesting enough you talk about that because the doctor that my coach has, his name's Dr. Kovac, and he was talking about how the test of an average 19-year-old male from the 1950s to now, like, so in the 1950s, the average test of a 19-year-old male was anywhere from 900 to 1,000. Now, because of social media, the food being processed, obviously just, you know, the agenda incorporating its way in there. It's anywhere from 400 to 500 maybe if you're lucky. He said the test has dropped over 50% in the last 50, 60 years. Yeah. And so that's why it's not even like it wouldn't even, at least in my mind, like to put like a 20-year-old on test is I don't think is that bad at all. Like it's just bringing it back up to what it should be at. But because of like how the world has been progressing and how, you know, it's affecting honestly the human race in general, like it's a not digression. What's the word? Reverse progression. What's it called?
Yep.
Okay, whatever that is.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying,
well, I mean, and I've I've been around the gym for a while. Like I know a bunch of guys from the gym, and I've seen these young guys jump on that shit, right?
That is an issue for sure.
I've seen young guys jump on the shit too soon. That's not regulated. They're just doing it because they saw it somewhere, or someone in the gym said, "Hey, you should take this," and then they get really freaking massive, right?
Yep.
They look great. One, they lie and say they're natural. Yep. That's hilarious because if you've been in the gym and you're around, like you know people, you know what that looks
and there's
like.
So like if you are at any level of experience, like you can tell there's a lot of side effects. Like you can tell if the skin looks a little leathery, or if they're really red. Another thing too is gyno. That's the biggest thing. Like if you hop on any sort of test booster, like you're gonna have to take estrogen blockers because your body needs a certain amount of estrogen. But the more tests you take, the higher those levels are going to come up with us. So you got to take these supplements that will regulate your estrogen levels. So gyno is like a huge giveaway that a lot of people tend to overlook. But no, I totally agree with you. Like that's why, like the decision that I've made was a long decision. Like, it was not something I just woke up and said, I'm going to do this. Like,
Right.
this was something that I had been thinking about, praying about. Like, I would talk to like my pastor, my parents, just people that I respected. Like, there's another guy named Derek Engel who is the brother of a guy that my family is really, really close with. And he did enhancements when he was younger. He did it all the wrong way. Like, he was telling me he was like a VIP on like underground websites because like that's kind of all people did back then. And he was telling me like the other side of enhancements that people don't talk about. And it was an honest, like, he's a firm believer in everything. We had a great conversation from a spiritual aspect too about enhancements. And to kind of tie that back in, like, there's so many people that are doing it the wrong way. And by that, I mean, they aren't under any supervision. Like, steroids within themselves are illegal, but like, it makes sense. Like, if steroids were legal and something you could walk into a Walgreens and buy enhancements, the amount of people that would be dead or that would be infertile, like kidney failure, like, would be skyrocketed. It's not because they're inherently bad. Like, there are some that are bad. Like, Dianabol is awful for you. Obviously, Tren is awful for you. There's or like insulin, like growth hormone. Like, there's so much that should be illegal and should stay illegal that I think honestly should be tested for in some aspects of bodybuilding, just from like a health standpoint. But that's besides the point. There's so many people that do it the wrong way and do it because they don't even, like, some people don't even want to compete and they want to do it. I think that
big.
Exactly. And I think that is completely pointless. I think the only reason anyone should even consider taking enhancements, even consider it, should be because they want to be a bodybuilder, just because it's a part of the sport. And I think that's another thing a lot of people don't realize and that aren't open-minded to learning more about. Like, if I were to walk down the street and say I'm on steroids, there's like a judgment that is going to be there.
Instant.
And it's like,
oh yeah, roid rage.
Exactly. It's like there's no one's going to care to listen to like the other aspect of it, because like the reason why I'm doing it is because I think and this is not in any way like being narcissistic. It's just like how I feel about myself. Like, I think I have great potential in the sport. I think I can be a pro. I think I can, compete at a very high level and make a career out of it. But in order for me to get there, I'm going to have to take enhancements. And I want to take it through a doctor. I think that if you take it through a doctor, that way you're being regulated constantly. You're getting blood work done every so often, making sure that everything is set. Plus, like, if something is slightly wrong, you get pulled off of it immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, like, no questions asked. If there's something off, like, that is a doctor's not going to risk his career over you and your dreams, right? And there's only and what you are prescribed is guaranteed and thought over based off of your blood work and whatnot from the doctor. So it's not like you're getting anything that is going to be incredibly detrimental. Like, there will be side effects, but there's stuff you can do to avoid that or to regulate that. But for the most part, you're not going to have a physician who spent over 10 years in school working his ass off to get to where he's at give you something that's going to kill you. Like, that doesn't make sense. And so that's why I think there's a difference between people that, like you said, that just take steroids because they see it all over Instagram and they're just like, I want to get big quick. Like, will it get you big quick? Yeah, but also get you dead quick. You'll be dead in 5 years if you're not careful. And that's another thing that I hate about the fitness industry is, like, not only the people that are not taking health into consideration or not taking serious time to think about, like, what enhancements do. Like, it will change your life, to be honest. Like, it is a big decision. And that's why, like, I had no desire to rush into it. But for overall thoughts on it, like, it's aggravating to see people that rush into it and are honestly proud of it. Like, you go on social media, people joke about, like, and are putting it on social media, talking about, like, if you're natural, like, you're not going to amount to anything, like, hop on trend or be a loser. And, like, I'm just like, dude, like, what are you doing, man? I don't know. It's very aggravating. Like, it's all that's doing is just adding on and piling on to the stereotype of, like, you're the reason why people think bodybuilders are the way that they are is because of people like you that just don't think twice before you post something or before you inject something. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's unfortunate because I know that for any bodybuilder that has decided to take enhancements, whether it's the right way or the wrong way, like, good luck explaining that to people that are very anti. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being against people taking enhancements, but it's like, it's also not all bad. I'm not gonna.
If it's used the right way, especially in the sport, and it's regulated, and it's all of these things, there's a reason why you can do it in the sport.
Right.
If it's under doctor prescription and advisory and guidance, it's done the right way. It's something you can do. Now, if you're Joe Schmo getting off the street, one, you're gonna jack your life up, and two, you're gonna have to be on the shit for the rest of your life.
And two, the reason why people I think people do that is because when you go through a doctor, like, it's a much slower process because you're not full on blasting stuff. Like, it's like you're getting a healthy amount to get to your goal, so it's gonna take longer, and it's more expensive. Getting blood work and getting appointments with the doctor, like that costs money. And so I think another reason a lot of people don't do that is because they don't want to spend the money and they want results quick. And so they're going to take the most extreme and most detrimental PEDs without any supervision to get to where they want, because they just don't want to wait. They don't want to take the time. Like, I think it was Phil Heath won Mr. Universe. This is what my coach told me. He won Mr. Universe, which is equivalent to like the Arnold now, with test and Deca. Like, I think it was like 200 milligrams of test and like maybe 50 or 100 milligrams of Deca, and that was it. And compare that to like other people. And obviously, like, when he got to a higher level, he started taking more. But like, there's people that are 17 years old that are stacking Tren and Primo or Animal. Like, there's just these crazy stacks. Like, some people
explode.
Exactly. Some people are injecting more than 2 milligrams. I don't remember like what the time frame was. There's this one guy on Instagram that I cannot stand. He just talks about, and he looks so average. Like, he does not look good. And he is blasting over 2 grams of enhancements. I don't think it's a month. I don't know when the time frame is, because I'm not, to be honest, that educated on.
Right. My chest hurts just listening to this.
Your what?
My chest hurts just like listening
No,
to this.
it's awful.
Yeah.
And like, they boast about it, which is the craziest thing. Like, am I taking enhancements? Yes, but I'm not going to go flexing it and holding it over everyone else's heads. Like, that's just, there's so much wrong with fitness industry.
Talk to me real quick about show day.
Show day.
How'd you feel?
I wanted to throw up pretty much the whole time. When you're backstage, like, and you see everyone else, like, for the most part, when you show up to the show and you're getting ready, you're getting tan, like, for the most part, everyone's like covered up because they kind of want to hide what they've been working on. And so you're like anxious for the first part. Cause like, dude, what does everyone else look like? Do I look the best? Like, how is everyone else comparing up to me? Right. So you're always looking around, like, seeing, okay, that guy looks pretty big under there. Like, how lean is he though? Like, you're just playing all these mental battles in your head. And when we're finally all backstage and we're all like tanned up, we're ready to go on stage, and all the pump covers are taken off, and you see everyone else like getting ready, like getting pumped up and stuff. I was just sitting there like, bro, what is happening? Like, there's no way I'm here right now. It was like a mix between disbelief and anxiousness, because first part of me was like, I cannot believe I'm here right now. Like, this doesn't feel real. Like, 2 years ago, I never would have saw myself like 50 shades darker than I could have ever imagined, like half naked on a stage. Like, there's no way. But then the other half was like, okay, so like, what happens if I don't do well? And it's actually tough, because it's split up into two. There's prejudging and there's finals. Prejudging is kind of just a run through to see where everyone's at. And then finals is where you kind of do the same run through again, except it's different for like classic and open. Like, classic and open, they have pose downs and routines they go through. Men's physique is kind of like super straightforward. Like, that's why I'm hoping to transition into classic at some point. But overall, it's split into two. Prejudging is like a run through, and then kind of gives the judges an idea of like where everyone's at. And then there's finals where they announce the winners and stuff. And so I'm prejudging. I competed in a couple different divisions. So there's novice, which is any competitor that's never competed before, and then normally there's true novice, which is like first show, also never won. And then there's like a couple other divisions. But for that show, I did novice, which is you never won a show. And then I did, I think, just my overall class, which is split up by height. So I was in like class C or something. And when I went out there, obviously, like I'd never posed in front of a judge before. And so I was kind of off to the side. And so I wasn't really facing the judges. And so they couldn't really see me. So that put me like in fourth place initially for that division. And then there was like another guy that was kind of like posing in front of me a little bit. So it was kind of hiding me. And so the judges couldn't get a good look at me. So obviously that affected my placing. And so like after that, I went backstage and I'm like, dude, I'm so screwed. Like I just placed fourth. Like this is awful. I was kind of starting to get in my own head. And then that's when my coach came backstage and was like, listen, like you look fine, but you're not posing towards the judges. You're not fully like exposing yourself. Like you're kind of getting hidden behind a couple competitors. I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to gather myself together. And then Kyle, who's the kid that was like documenting the whole thing, he was back there trying to like talk me like out of my head. And then I went back out again. And this is like the part that matters. Like novice is great. You want to place high in it, of course, but like placing overall in your class is like really what matters. Like that's whether or not you get into nationals. And so I went out there again and I made those minor adjustments. And they kind of like, as you're posing, they have like a number, right? And they like tell you to switch based off of who they want, like first, second, third, or whatever. And so eventually, like, obviously my heart's pounding, everything. I get put in second. I'm like, okay, like now I got to hold this. Cause like I knew I wasn't going to beat the kid that was or the guy that was in first. So like, I just want to hold that spot because I knew if I held that, I would qualify for nationals. And so I was like, obviously just doing everything I can to keep that spot. My coach was telling me, hold it, like trying to keep my head engaged. And eventually that was it. We kind of all walked off. And then later in finals, they kind of announced who qualified and whatnot. And so ultimately what that means is how you get your pro card is you compete in an amateur show and you have to place top 2 in your class. So there's like class A, B, C to whenever, depending on how many competitors there are, how tall everyone is. And so you have to place top 2 in an amateur show. And then you go to a national show, which is everyone that did what you just did. And then if you place top 2 again in your class, that's when you get your pro card. But the reason why that's so hard compared to an amateur show is because not everyone that competes in an amateur show wants to be a pro. They just want to compete sometimes, just to compete. People in a pro show will they want it just as bad as you do, and like they will bite your head off. Like they don't care about anything except getting that pro card. And so that's kind of a large reason why I didn't compete, because did I look great? Sure. But a 165, 6'1" kid is not going to go in and beat someone that's the same size, 20 to 30 pounds heavier. Because like men's physique has changed so much, because I think it became a thing in 2012. And it used to be just like shredded. Like you just wanted to be lean as crap. But now it's transitioned to where like men's physique guys are getting big now. Like they're getting capped shoulders, their delts are huge, their chest, like their back is so like there's so much depth in their back and they're so much wider than ever before. Like there's just so much mass that has developed over the course of time. And that's kind of why they added classic too. Like classic before there was just bodybuilding. It was like men's open. That was it, just being as big as possible. And then there was men's physique that got added. And then if I'm correct, it was classic that was added third. And that's when like it was like a mix between size-wise, mix between physique and open. So it's like a more aesthetic physique all around.
Yeah.
But no, man, overall that process was nerve-wracking. Like I went backstage and freaking sobbed, to be honest, because I could not believe that I did what I just did. So that was huge for me. I think I'm definitely going to remember that, because I know there's going to be more shows in the future, and like I'm hoping to be a pro within the next 2 to 3 years is my goal.
Yeah, talk to me. What's next in this sport for you?
To be 100% honest, I don't totally know specifics yet. Like I said, I want to begin taking enhancements, and then my goal is to compete in the summer or the fall of 2025. And that gives me this entire year to kind of put on as much mass as I can. Like ideally, if I could bulk up to 220, 225, and then cut down, like step on at like 180, 185, like that would be ideal. Like that would be perfect. And so if everything goes to plan and I get to where I want to be and my body is reacting to BEDs well, and then we'll see. Like I want to make a run for the pro card in 2025. Like if I place first in the amateur show, which I want to do a much bigger show, amateur show this year, the Hoosier Flex, which is what I did my first show. It wasn't big, but it wasn't small, because there's amateur shows all over the place. So I want to do a bigger one this time because that'll give me a more accurate picture of what nationals might be like, and the competition is going to be better. Because the worst thing is to compete in a small show, crap on everybody, and then go to a natural show and be like, or a national show and be like, what the heck is this?
Just get overwhelmed.
Right, because you build this up in your head. But if you go to a bigger show where there's 3 times the amount of competitors and you still take first, it's like, okay, so if this is like one of the higher end shows, like now I just go to nationals and repeat the same thing. I don't know if I want to do 1 or 2 shows, just because it's better experience. And let's say I don't come out the way I want to, I can try it again in a different show before heading to nationals. But I don't. My goal is to just do it all in one fell swoop. Like I find competing just for the sake of competing kind of pointless. It's a waste of money and it's a waste of time. Like I would much rather spend 8 months getting bigger than preparing for a show just to not go to nationals and win. You know what I mean? So no, that's my goal, is get as big as possible, cut down to somewhere below 200 and step on. And then hopefully if I take first at my amateur show, go to nationals and get the pro card. And then dude, like it's all up from there, man. Like,
just think, the person you lost to 2 weeks later got a pro card.
Yeah.
You're not that far. So just,
I'm hoping not.
Look, man, I love that you're a student of your craft. I love that you have the right head on your shoulders for this. I'm super geeked for you. I'm a fan. Man. I'm watching from the sidelines. I
appreciate it.
Yeah. So I just want to wrap this up. I appreciate you coming through.
Appreciate you having me.
I think I want to do a part 2 of this.
We have to run it back.
Yeah, later and see how you change and get your pro. I want you to be like pro card, bro. Pro card, bro.
Yeah, dude. I'm freaking stoked, man. Because that's the beginning. Like that's the foot in the door, and then after that, it's all up from there, man.
Hey, keep doing what you're doing. That's another episode of The Convo, you guys. Make sure you go like, subscribe, all that cool stuff and all that jazz, and we'll catch you next time.
Yes, sir.
This podcast is sponsored by Movement, your passport to a healthier, stronger you. Unleash your potential, sculpt your body,